Today, Freedom Central is in Johannesburg chatting to Wayne Herschel about his book, The Hidden Records, and the amazing work and research he's been engaged with for almost 20 years now. Wayne, thank you very much for your time today. And I've had the privilege of obviously sitting through a couple of your lectures, and the information is riveting.
I want to know who we are. And this is a big deal. It's, once we know who we are, we know where we can go forward. And it'll neutralize war, it'll neutralize everything. Education will be free. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes in with us that has all been hidden too, because we put a price on learning and knowledge, and that's wrong. It should be free as the air that we breathe, because what is knowledge? It's pretty much ether, there's nothing there. And that's a big destructive thing, to put a price on it, because only the rich can afford that education that leaves out a huge portion of the population having nothing. They're going to be enslaved. Why has all this stuff been hidden? What's the big deal about stars? And so what if we came from the stars? It's just a hypothesis. It could be even looked at as this weird mythology, and just take it with a pinch of salt. It's not a big deal. There's one very important thing that this all proves, and remember, we've got to go look back a few hundred years. What happened in every different culture that had this information? First of all, because it's global, everybody has got the same teaching. Every ancestor of every race and creed, religion on the face of this planet has got that story. It shows that we're all equal. And every ancient civilization knew that the people that taught them were going around teaching everybody else the same thing. It's quite likely that when they all left over generations, that their normal habit of living is plundering, conquering, and stealing treasures from your foreigners. It's even accepted up until today. That is the way of the world, has always been. And it's still happening today with our weird politics and weird wars that are taking place. It's mainly after resources, and the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, and it's still happening. But go back a little bit further, even just 100 years, 200 years, and see how bad it was, that everybody was their chosen group and everybody else was the bad ones. And let's go and conquer and take their treasures. And this whole equality thing needs to be hidden, and that's what the elite have done of ancient times. The second part of it is there's a spiritual story behind it as well. Part of these teachings from the same people, the same enlightenment, illumination of the soul, the mind, the brain can connect up with the cosmic tree. And once you've meditated and learned the ancient rites, for example, the Great Pyramid Chamber, that's not a tomb for a dead man. They never found bodies in the pyramids. That is an initiation teaching pyramid, because it's got star shafts even to teach the initiate, the learner, how to find his star. That whole secret of the illumination is another part that people mustn't know about, because once you can connect with the creation, maybe I've done the same thing, I've got all the answers. Now if everybody had all the answers, it's going to put an end to the secret of being chosen and being equal. Equality is still not happening today, folks. I don't know if you just really had a good look at it. It's just the old ways, and it just won't change because it's profitable to the very rich. This child slavery, it's grown in such a massive way at the moment. It used to be 1 billion suffering, starving people, which was about 3/4 children in the world that are not even getting food to eat. It's now 2 billion, and child slavery is just appearing everywhere in the world, because it's helping those economies making stuff for next to nothing if the children are enslaved. So it's a long story, but that's why all this has been hidden, because it shows equality and the secret of illumination of the soul, how the soul can connect to the creation.
I first want to know a little bit about your journey and how you came to be involved in this research.
Sure. I'm very fortunate from the life experience point of view, having two very life-altering experiences. The first one would have to be a sighting of an unknown thing in the sky. And it was a teenager coming home one night, and parents are driving the car, and we saw what looked like an aircraft coming in from the sunset sort of position into town in a V formation. Looked like an aircraft because of the V-shaped wings perhaps. And we thought, well, this is an aircraft coming in that's going to be in trouble. It's going to crash land or something. So the cars were stopping on the road. This is in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe. It was Rhodesia at the time. And as cars were stopping and people were getting out to see what it is, it was very bright and very interesting looking. And it went straight over us, and there was no sound, and there were gaps between the V-shaped formation. It's a well-known sighting in history even, and in America as well. They call it the Lubbock Lights sighting. It's a V formation of lights, and wow, that was quite a thing to realize that this is not an aircraft. It's nothing that we know of in our technology. What is it? And it was in the papers the next day, and in the report in the paper it said that it was seen in South America 20 minutes later. So there's quite a lot of distance to travel from the time that it was seen in Bulawayo. That kind of sets you off on a route. You've already got that life experience knowing that we're not alone and there's something out there that might be bigger than us. So that was one life experience. The second one would be the near-death experience in a motorcycle accident. And it's the proverbial tunnel of light, and when my heart had stopped, I had this experience of being outside of the body, seeing myself on the ground and thinking, well, okay, that's me, but this is strange, you know, I'm here, I'm somewhere else, but that's me. And then you realize then, okay, this thought outside of the body is the first realization that you can think and be the I that you are outside of that physical vehicle. And as I was thinking, well, what's next? I wanted to first see, because you want to know where's your arms and legs, because they're down there. You feel like you're standing. But then you realize that you're this strange, shadowy energy field. And as you think and move, it's like a camera turning around. I want to look left, and you can see what's left. And then you can do really fast things as well, and have be with your family. You can be even anywhere you would like to be. And my thought was, well, what's next? You know, let me follow this tunnel of light. And I believe I did the normal tunnel of light thing, but unlike a lot of the research I've done in this field, I believe I've come back with much more than I left with. It's almost like a huge download of something when I was out there. And I got to the end of the tunnel of light. Most people get to the end of the tunnel of light and there's a deity, Christ-like figure that sort of turns them back and says, you know, return. But I was out for quite a long time. That might have been an advantage. It was more than 20 minutes where my heart had been stopped and they kept pumping my heart, massaging me by the side of the racetrack. I was blue. I was really, they thought, well, let's give up on the guy. But they kept me going and resuscitated me. And when I came back, they thought I had quite a knock on the head because I was just babbling about my experience. Please listen to me. I've just been somewhere very important. And I must have spammed my brother and my father with so much information. they were worried about me because I've had this spiritual experience, and they thought, oh, gee, he's really had a bad knock on the head. But they told me my whole story again afterwards, because I did have a bit of a knock on the head. It was part of the accident. And memory, trying to remember what I told them, I could have glimpses of little bits and pieces that were just out of this world kind of things, images and whatever, but so much information. And it was something quite interesting because they told me what I was telling them, and the finer details were starting to reactivate my memory. And it was some kind of place, a cosmic tree, and interacting with it. And there's people there, it's like a garden, and it's the proverbial Garden of Eden type environment. And I've been very fortunate in the 20 years of trying to prove this place, find it in every ancient civilization, finding it interpreted in many ways. Some religions interpret it as a deity with many arms, as this conscious light energy. Some, like the ancient Egyptians, think of it as a pillar, but the pillar's got this crown with many serpents coming out the top.